Hi everyone, let's talk about the U.S.-China trade war. So it all began in 2018 when the Trump administration imposed tariffs on Chinese imports with the intention of reducing the dependency on Chinese manufacturing sectors, reducing the trade benefits of the United States, facing and encountering concerns pertaining to the intellectual property theft and forced technology transfer, wherein the U.S. tariffs made the Chinese energy imports more expensive. On the other hand, China retaliated with counter-tariff impositions that made the U.S. energy exports less competitive. Since both nations are developed economies, it resulted in casting a burden of the global energy market, leading to an overall price hike in the energy sector. Some of the reasons for escalations were trade imbalance between both the supreme powers, with certain downfalls that were already existing, like the U.S. trade deficit, several accusations of intellectual property theft, whereby the U.S. accused China of engaging in unfair trade practices that led to a detrimental impact on American companies and innovation. Due to the growing technology and Chinese privacy policies, the United States expressed concerns over national security. America implemented various restrictions on the Chinese tech sector. For instance, those that were imposed on Huawei located Chinese companies. Despite the economic uncertainty, both nations were engaged in geopolitical competitions, such as border disputes, in order to expand their sphere of influence among neighboring regions. Lastly, during this time, both the nation's ruling parties used the trade war as a tool to politically posture their party domestically. Now, what consequences did the trade war have? Both nations were experiencing increased trends in job losses that led to slower economic growth, in turn casting a burden on consumer prices due to the poorly performing sectors. Both nations experienced a drop in foreign investment since both nations has imposed increased trade tariffs. The commercial products experienced disruptions globally, impacting the supply chains and leading to increased costs for business and consumers. During this phase of the trade war, the IMF mitigated a reduction in global economic growth pattern by 0.3% in order to fortify the flow of trade and dominance. Some of the recent activities of China include the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI, which shows how China expands its influence through debt through loans for the development of their surrounding nations for infrastructure projects like the Sri Lankan Bantota port lost its control to the Chinese government so that they can leverage their trade. Since China had the upper hand in some of these nations, it gained the control to alter the trade relations with the United States. While the United States during the Trump administration claimed that China had become a currency manipulator, the Obama administration ban was extended with new nominations of the WTO's appellate body, thereby crippling the organization's dispute settlement mechanism. Meanwhile, in response to concerns over Chinese acquisition of U.S. technology, the U.S. Congress approved laws increasing the authority of the CFIUS and strengthening limits on high-tech exports. President Biden has taken the most severe moves yet at undermining China's bid for economic supremacy. He has kept a number of $360 billion in tariffs in addition to the numerous measures imposed by Trump on Chinese individuals linked to human rights violation in Xinjiang and Hong Kong, established unprecedented export control that limits the capacity of Beijing to acquire sophisticated equipment, and prohibited several U.S. ventures into highly classified equipment that lawmakers fear could be utilized to support China's growing military. In the meantime, several U.S. governments have passed laws barring public pensions and investing in shares held by the Chinese state. This shifted from a trade war towards a business-driven company. Conclusion. As seen on the graph on slide 3, The trade between the two developed nations was booming even before China joined the WTO, but it is important to note that the U.S. maintained normal commercials with members of WTO and other international corporations that provided the nations with extra assurance that they might manufacture in China and export to the U.S. Since it was hacked by the stable geopolitical relationship that pushed the product that belonged to the U.S. imported from China, it increased from over $100 billion in 2001 to more than $500 billion in 2022. This increase in import is attributable to China's essential role in global supply chains. Chinese firms construction items for sale to the U.S. using components from all around the world.